Hi, my name's Steve Blommestein. I'm the Managing Director of Netlink Group. We're a managed service IT provider here in Perth in Western Australia. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and in amongst that I've also been working very heavily with technology startup companies, young innovative companies that need assistance to get started. And I've been asked today to come in and talk about building the right teams for your startup companies. So there's two things here. One is I've had lots of experience in employing people for my core business, and I'll draw on some of the references there, but I need to point out that it's different to getting people for your startup companies. It's very much a different paradigm that you need to be aware of. So in kickstarting that off, I'd like to sort of give you some tips right up front, and the takeaway for me over the years was to hire people that were smarter than me. A lot of people, ego might not allow them to do that, but I can honestly say that that's been an absolute winner for me, is to find people that are smarter than me. The other thing that I can tell you unequivocally that really works is that you employ on character, right? You can train for skill later, but when you employ on character, you'll get the people that you want, even though they don't come with the skills. And the other lesson that I've learnt in life is to hire slowly but fire fast, okay? And I'll talk to you about that a bit more as the presentation goes on. Right, so what I want to focus on today is I want to focus on building the startup team as opposed to employing people for a mature business like mine that's, say, 20 years old. And where people, I think, get really stressed is in having to make the right decision and get the right people, is that when you start up, you do everything. You're so busy, you're working long hours, you're it. You're the person that has to make all the decisions. So making the right decision is really critical. And the questions that you have to answer yourself is, how can I get the best people when I don't have any money, right? What's the reward? How do I keep them incentivized? What mix do I want? What do I really need? How can I secure these people? How can I lock them in? Where's the best place to get them? What if I fail? What if I get the wrong person? What if my venture fails? These are all the things that go through your mind when you're sitting there trying to pick the right people. So my advice to you is, before you do anything, before you go out to the market, before you look at anything, right, start with yourself. Where I went wrong in the past is I probably didn't really know where my business was actually going, and I really didn't know what sort of people I wanted. But you go out and you get people anyway, and guess what? They don't last very long. So you need to understand about yourself, and it's about being the leader that you need to be to employ the right people. You need to understand what leadership means, right? If you don't understand what leadership means, go and do some reading. Read Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. There's some great books around there, and there's so much stuff available today to help you with leadership. And it's your number one priority. Get yourself sorted first. Most employees will leave a company because of the manager, not the company, right? I know that. It's a well-known, documented fact. If you're a good leader and you've got a great company, people will follow you. Okay? Now, once you've worked on yourself, then you need to work on your business. You need to understand very clearly what values you're going to incorporate into your business. If you don't have values in your business, you don't have any metrics or measurement to be able to employ people. Values are absolutely critical to a business, no matter if you're in startup phase or whether you've been going for a while or whether you're 20 years in. If you don't have a clear set of values for your business, then I don't see how you can employ the right people. You need to employ people against the values of your business. Values align your team, and we all know how critical teamwork is, and if you're building a team, then they all have to have the same values. One of the things that I like to say about values is that when you get them right, they become your unbreakable ground rules. Unbreakable ground rules are things that you never break, right? You must do these all of the time to make sure that the right people are doing the right thing at the right time. And values define the culture of your organisation. Culture is what will keep the right people, in your business and keep them working for you as you want them to. So values. Values are absolutely critical, right? Remember that if you don't have them, how can you ask the right questions to people when you're trying to employ them? So culture, right? Culture comes from values. Culture of an organisation is defined by the people that you recruit, you promote, and the people that you let go, right? If you do that well and you understand that before you start on the journey, you'll get some really good people coming to work for you, and they'll stay with you. Okay, so core values sets your culture. Make sure that your core values are there for everybody to see from day one, and they're clear and they're understandable and people embrace them. Your culture then becomes a reflection of your core values, and if you get your core values right, you'll have a great culture. You employ people on their ability to contribute to your values, not just because they read them and they see them and they go, yes, I understand that. When you're employing them and you're talking to them, you're asking questions, you can use your values to engage them and to get the right answers out of them. And at the end of the day, if for whatever reason, if you pick someone and then you find out that it's not working, at least you have the ability to incorporate the 3 T's. Okay? The 3 T's, if you've got an employee that's not performing all that well and you think you might have made a mistake but it's recoverable, you can train that person, right? You can transfer them, and then sadly you can terminate them. So you do have a choice if you get it wrong, and then you start the process all over again. So, all right, we've talked about setting culture, values that will build your culture. But the next thing that you need to be very clear about when you're employing startup people is you've got to have a really good story of where you're going. Your employees, future employees, want to know where the business is going. It's all very well to come and work for you and subscribe to your values and do all the right things, but you have to have a good story, and you have to be able to articulate your vision to people. If you don't have a vision and you don't have values, I don't understand how you could possibly employ somebody and get them to come on board and do all the things that you want them to do. So understand your vision, know where you're going, know what your vision is, the long distance thing, where you're going to be in a number of years, where you think you're going to be over the horizon, okay, what you want your company. And it's got to be a good story, and you've got to be able to sell it to people, because when you're recruiting is not about sitting there and asking questions and just getting people to respond. It's about selling your business to them so that they want to come on board. So you need to know leadership, you need to know about your core values, or have your core values, and you need to know what your vision and your mission is. Your mission is different to your vision because your mission is how you get to your vision. So all of this stuff has to be done before you sit down and you get your first employee. Okay, so we've talked about the things that you need to do to get ready before you can start employing people. Now we're going to start going out there and we're going to look for the people that we want. So it's easy for me to say that you need to know exactly what you need, and that's where most people get it wrong, is they don't really understand what that person really is in terms of all of the character or the skill sets and that you want them. Now remember, I said earlier, my advice to you is to employ on character, not skills. Sometimes you can't do that, you have to have skills, but when you want really good people to come on board, look at their character. Use your core values to ask them questions where you can get a feel for their loyalty. They've got to have a sense of humour. Try and engage them to see if you can find out what their degree of enthusiasm and commitment is going to be to you. You want them to be honest and open. If they're not that in the interview, well then, my advice to you is you've got a pretty serious problem. You want good characters that have got a well-presented self-esteem. They have to present well. And if they don't have that, then you're going to ask yourself questions about how good are they going to be in front of my clients or my business. They have to be flexible. If people are not flexible and they're rigid, you're not going to be able to train them and have them go into whatever part of your business you want them to. If they're so rigid and that, my advice to you is you've got problems from day one. And don't try and employ workaholics. It just doesn't work. Workaholics burn themselves out. Get people that clearly have a balance. When you're talking to them, find out about what turns them on in life. Get a balance between work and play. It's not all about work. Another character that you, or attribute of an employee that you really, really need is flexibility. I can't stress this enough. If you get people that are inflexible, it's going to be a problem, particularly in a startup. In a startup, people have to do many things, many roles. You will ask them to do things that are outside of their job scope over and over again. If they're not flexible, they're not going to do it, and it's not going to work. It'll just end in tears. And here's a really good tip for you. In the early years, I tried to find people who were workaholics. I thought, being a workaholic, they'll work long and hard for me. It doesn't work, right? They burn themselves out, and then they become useless, and they're not effective. Right? For an employee to be effective, he's got to have a great balance. Try and find people that part of their values in life is valuing their time, and they can spread the balance between work and play. And people who have good work and play balance, they're more creative and they're more fun to be with anyway. Right, some great advice I got many years too late, but notwithstanding, I've had that advice and I've used it over and over again. There's only two types of people in the world. People say, oh, how can that be true? But if you broadly categorise them, there are two types of people, cause and effect. Cause people make stuff happen. Effect people just say, well, you know, hey, it just happened. I had no effect on it. It's just the way that it is. You want cause people. You want cause people because they go out and they do stuff. They're passionate and they want to make stuff happen and they want to be the owner of it. So if you're interviewing somebody and you get the effect that they've just been led along or they don't do anything and they don't show initiative, then my advice to you is don't employ them. Passion. I can't talk about passion. You've got to get people to be passionate, to believe in your story, to believe in your vision. Right? Passion is energy. If you can feel the power that comes from other people's passion and you can harness that in your business, you're going to get some really good people working for you. If there's no passion in the interview, don't employ them. Right? Passion is energy. Passion drives everything. In a startup business particularly, you've probably got to sell your business. You've got to sell every product. You've got to sell the idea. Passion will drive that. You want people to come on board that have passion and they'll help you sell your product or your application or whatever to make you. Right? Passion is the thing that gets people to get out of bed in the morning. So no passion, no job. Right. The other really good lesson that I learnt was think of an analogy of your business being a bus, right? Think of this nice red bus. It actually comes from Jim Collins's book, Good to Great. In his book he says, think of the bus and all of the seats on the bus and who are the people that you want on that bus on that journey. And if you can do that as an exercise, you will find that it will help you determine who the people are to help you deliver your vision or create the mission that will get you to your vision. So when you're interviewing these people to come and sit on the bus, you need to know who the driver is, and that's probably going to be you because you're the founder, you're the startup. You might have a co-driver if you're lucky, but ultimately it's going to be you at the start. And you need to know people coming on this board, what are they passionate about? What can they actually be the best at? And those things are going to help you actually create money, which is why you're in business, right? Without that, you're not going to get it. Okay, so if you can find a co-driver for the bus, I think that's very good. Too often leaders burn themselves out too early in the piece and then they're not effective at all, and then everything can go downhill from there. You need to dream that dream team, right? Think about the bus, think of the people you want on there and share it with everyone. Tell everyone what the bus looks like, where the bus is going and who are the people that you want on that bus. And then it's up to you to fill those seats with the right stuff. And we all know what the right stuff is. You know, you put the right people in the right roles and things just happen. Okay? And the other thing is, on the seats on the bus, you have to work out where your managers are going to sit. Get really good people. Get your core people to be the managers and let them manage, right? Don't try and manage them. Right. One of the greatest anguish that you have in startups and early stage businesses is, I can't afford good people. Well, you know what? Money isn't the reward. I've had years of experience of trying to employ people with money as the target to get them there. It doesn't work. If you want people to stay and money is important to them, they won't stay, because money's so important they're going to look for it somewhere else. So you must find people that are there for the journey, and they're there for whatever the reward that they can get out of the business, as opposed to simply being paid more than his mate down the road. It's about the journey. Attitude is everything. Remember, one great employee makes 3 ordinary ones, and that seems like an overstatement. How can one person do the job of 3? Well, trust me, I can tell you that really good people will do that. Really good people who are creative in that, they will give you the best result. They're creative, they're happy to work in the business, and they'll do way more than someone who's simply there wondering about how much they're getting paid per hour that they work for you. The other thing that you need to start from day one, and this is difficult, is to make team building a habit. Make recruiting team building a habit. You say, well, I've got all my people, why do I need to recruit? Trust me, you need to recruit 365 days of the year. Even if you're out talking to people about your business, telling them where you're going, what you're doing, who you need. You might have all the seats on the bus full of the time. Let me tell you, people will get off the bus. Even though you think the journey is fantastic and they're going to be with you forever, they will get off the bus. Be prepared, right, to get more people throughout the entire journey. Be prepared to get it wrong. You'll get some wrong people on the bus. And don't be devastated when somebody leaves. It's a fact of life. Some people will come on board and after a while they just decide the journey isn't for them and they want to leave. That's human nature. Nothing you can do about it. Don't beat yourself up. Just go and find another good person. So be prepared for many hires. I look at the people who have worked for my company as opposed to the people who are in there, and the list of those who have left is greater than the list of who's there. That's just normal, right? Don't get hung up on it. Just be out there constantly looking. It's a habit, right? Finding good people is a habit. You have to do it every day. If you're not doing it every day, you won't keep and you won't get the right people. And every time someone does leave, think of it as an opportunity. It's not the end of the world when a key employee walks out the door. It's an opportunity to replace them with either someone different or someone better. You know, I've been, in my early days when key employees left, I thought my business was going to fold. Well, it doesn't. Somehow you manage. If you're doing the right thing, you'll find somebody else to come and replace them. Okay? So I can't stress it enough. It's a habit, not an event. An event is something that happens probably outside of your control. It has to be a habit. Okay, so some of the key lessons that I want to pass on to you today is what I've just stressed. Make team building a habit, okay? Plan your journey before you start. Don't employ people unless you know where you're going. Otherwise, how can they follow you if you don't know where you're going? Use the bus analogy. I like it. If you want to build a dream team, dream teams normally associated with sport, and they've got to go on a bus anyway. So work out where your journey is, build the bus, put great people in the seats, and your team just unfold. Okay, so we've talked about building your dream team. It's really about getting the right people on board, and the rest looks after itself. Look after your managers. They become your core, right? You have to have a core team. And I've talked to you about people leaving. You have to keep your core. So look after your managers, make sure that they become your core, and then if you look after your managers, they'll look after their staff. Remember what I said earlier, people generally leave a business or a company because they don't like the managers. So if you haven't got really good managers on board, expect people to leave. Use your network to reference check, right? This is absolutely paramount. I could spend a day telling you about people that I've employed that I didn't bother to do checks on, only to find out that some things surface later in your business. to ask people, right, when you're employing people, take the time to do a reference check. Remember the 80-20 rule. This is a fairly important paradigm that a lot of people forget about. When you try to employ someone, you will not get 100%. Never, ever try to employ someone and get 100% in that employee. It's impossible. Understand that if you get 80% of what you're looking for, you're doing really well. You can make up the 20%, and sometimes even if it's less than 80%, as I said before, if their character is really good, employ on character. You'll get the rest. Never ever hire anybody because you feel sorry for them. It's just don't go there. You're employing people to come on board to do the right thing by your business and to help you grow your business, and particularly in early stage startup, you just can't afford to get people on board who are just along there for their ride. They're along for your journey, not theirs. So don't employ them just because you feel sorry for them and they need a job. Top grade. A lot of people don't like this word, top grading. You have to build a fight to keep team. Fight to keep means that you look around at your employees and you grade them, and fight to keep means that if they even look like they were going to leave, you would do whatever you can to keep them. And they're the A graders, right? They're the top, and they're the people that you want. Just because someone's working for you and they're not performing doesn't mean to say you have to keep them, right? Try to make top grading a habit so that you're doing that constantly yourself. And if somebody is not performing, let them go early. Remember earlier on I said hire slow, fire fast, right? Remember that, hire slow, fire fast. Don't make rush decisions in employing people, but make a very quick decision to let them go early if they're not performing. You keep poor people on board and they're on the bus, right? And they can be very detrimental and even really quite, they can destroy culture, right? So let them go early. And the only thing that you bring, when something does happen and you don't get the right employee in that, as I said, don't beat yourself up. Remember, think about what went wrong, and the only thing that you bring forward from that is the lesson. Don't do what you did last time. Do it differently, okay, to make sure that you get the right person.